This is my friend Somi, and for the last year, Somi has been watching me ride my bike from the very top of Alaska down to Mexico. And he decided he wants to give this bikepacking thing a try. So we figured what better place for his first bikepacking trip than Oaxaca. From the quiet terracerías of the valley's desert floor to rugged mountain passes up in the cloud forest of the Sierra Sur, Oaxaca has an abundance of adventurous dirt riding, stunning wild camping opportunities, and beautiful places to explore. Also home to rich Zapotec history and some of the best food in the whole of Mexico. There's no doubt we were going to have a good time. However, it wasn't going to be smooth sailing. Somi would have to overcome almost every obstacle possible while bikepacking. Last night he experienced some food poisoning. But these obstacles would only lead us to the kindness of strangers and help us to truly experience this incredible Mexican state. After arriving in Oaxaca City, all that was left to do was to pick up Somi's bike. How does it feel?
Beautiful.
Yeah?
Absolutely gorgeous.
You're gonna need a name for the bike.
I'm gonna need a name.
Yeah, what are you gonna call it?
I'm gonna call her Betsy.
Betsy. Nice. Betsy's gonna take you far. How are you feeling about what we're about to do?
I think I'm feeling fine. The bike feels amazing.
Yeah.
Like the suspension on it feels really good. It feels really easy to move. Right. Like, yeah. Really excited for it to blow its tires out the first 2 days. That's right.
And how was your training?
My training. Yeah, in terms of cycling. Genuinely, I think I'm going to be crying after 10K. I think I will just like...
I hope so. Right.
Yeah, you'll be laughing in the front. Just be like screaming, come back. But, and yeah, but I think it'll be amazing. I think it'll be super, super cool.
You excited?
I am excited. Yeah.
Me too. It's going to be a good time.
It'll be class.
First meal before it all begins.
Before it all begins, eh?
Here we go. It's starting. That is. Welcome to the dirt, son.
I love the dirt. I was raised in the dirt.
We've come across a bit of sand and he's struggling slightly.
That sucked.
You're not a fan of the sand?
I did
Nice.
good.
Well done. Our goal was to climb up high into the mountains to a place called San Jose del Pacifico. But first we had to ride through the farmlands of Oaxaca's southern valley.
That is a huge, that's a beast.
Yeah. Rough bit of sand out here, but we're still moving forward. Well, we found a lake to camp at tonight, and it is just so beautiful. It is such a peaceful spot. There's no one around, and it is beautiful, sunny, and hot right now, so I think we're gonna go for a swim.
Que se hay allá en la tierra,
Sí, sí, soy de Inglaterra.
aquí en este pueblo, o aquí en Santa Marta, vive un muchacho que viene de allá, de Estados Unidos, pero ya se juntó con una mujer de aquí, y se llama Perry, y es de Inglaterra, pero me explique su esposa porque él no sabe español.
Ah, sin problema, sí, sin problema. Mas cuando estoy aquí, yo espero que mi español es mejor.
Por más tiempo pueden hablar más español. ¿Cómo se llaman?
¿Cómo se llama? Somi.
¿Tú?
Daniel Tam.
¿Y tú?
Gladys
Gladys.
Ramírez
Okay.
López.
Gladys Ramírez López. Ausente.
Bueno, ¿y ahora no van a ir a comer?
Sí, sí, sí.
¡Una carrera!
Well, we just asked that woman where the best food in town was and ended up paying way too much money for some really bad tortas at a place that was clearly one of her best friends. That's the worst food I might have ever had in Mexico. Yeah, it's 300 pesos. We did also buy her lunch as well. So she's done all right out of it. She was lovely though, she was nice.
She was lovely.
Well, now we gotta get our feet on the pedals and get some miles done. In the next town, we stopped for some proper tortas to fuel ourselves for the first big climb of the trip. Do you remember what concrete means?
It's going very soon.
Yes, it is. Well, we've just made it to the top of a pretty big mountain climb. It's Sumi's first big climb, so he's not the happiest.
Like honestly, why the fuck are we doing this route? Is this the quickest way to get there? It didn't seem this hard at the time.
But I'm pretty chuffed. It is beautiful up here, and it's now going to be a really fun descent down. And once at the bottom, we arrived in a big town called Miahuatlan. So yesterday actually ended up being a really challenging day. There was a very long, tough and steep climb, and Sumi actually had 3 punctures on his front tyre. So we ended up getting to this town quite late. It was already dark. We were exhausted. It started raining. So we checked ourselves into the first hotel we could find, got a very good dinner and a good night's sleep, and today is a new day. Now today is also going to be quite challenging as we're going to be climbing almost the entire day, and now we're just filling up all our water and then we're going to get moving. You are, you're a fully fledged bikepacker. I can go first if you want.
You're such a prick. You're such a prick.
It's not funny. It's not funny. It's not funny. What happened? Here's our first bit of rain.
Oh damn, we are in trouble. That does not sound good.
We'll be alright. And it wasn't long before we came across a house and were quickly welcomed in to take shelter. We felt incredibly grateful to be able to hide from the heavy rain that poured for hours. However, it left us with very little time before sunset to make it to our campsite. Look at that, the sun is poking through the clouds. There's a bit of hope in the world. There's blue skies over there. Look at that, that's beautiful. The rain here is serious business. You do not want to mess around with it, it's not fun. So the problem we have now is we have about 1,200 feet to climb over 1.7 miles up a road like this. One of the steepest roads I've ever seen. Oh my goodness. So the road we were on was possibly the steepest road I've ever seen. It was absolutely ridiculous, but luckily Somi has secured us a ride. So we're in the bed of this truck, and luckily we're gonna get to our campsite before it gets dark now, which is just great news.
Yeah. This road is, it's mental that is allowed to be a road.
Yeah, it's
like,
insane.
I don't know how cars
Absolutely
get up.
insanity.
It is an obstacle course right now.
This is slightly terrifying, but actually quite a lot of fun.
It's so...
And it's beautiful. It wasn't long before we arrived at our first campsite up in the mountains, and just a short ride the next morning took us up to a town buried high up in the clouds called San Jose del Pacifico. Here we took our first rest day of the trip, enjoying the beautiful views of the mountains poking above the clouds and one of the best sunsets we'd ever seen. And the next morning, feeling fresh once again, we got back on the road, only to be greeted by the rain. But as always here in Oaxaca, the rain soon passes, the sun begins to shine, and you can continue to enjoy the beautiful forest that wouldn't be there without the rain. That is beautiful. Almost worth all the sweat to get up here. Well, this has been definitely the most challenging day of our journey so far, just because of the sheer amount of climbing. We've done almost 4,000 feet today. But it's probably also been the most beautiful, and we have ended up at the most beautiful camp spot we've found so far. This is just absolutely stunning, and it's going to look even better in the morning when the sun's rising. But for now, we get to set up camp, make a fire, and just enjoy it. One of my favourite things about this trip was being able to show my friend a simpler life, where your biggest problems are where you're going to sleep at night, and your evenings are spent eating bean tacos around a campfire and staring at the stars. But as it turns out, the next day wasn't going to be quite so simple. Well, we've descended a fair amount of elevation in the last few days, which means it's much hotter here, and these steep mountain climbs are a lot more challenging. But oh, is it worth it for these views? Just wow. It is absolutely gorgeous. So Somi here has had a pretty rough 24 hours. So about this time yesterday, he started getting pretty bad knee pain in both knees, which really isn't ideal when you're trying to cycle up and down mountains all day through Mexico. And then last night he experienced some food poisoning, which really is not fun. I've been there not too long ago, and I know the pain, I know the struggle, especially when it stops you sleeping. That's not fun. And then today we've just done a pretty rough and challenging section, a lot rougher than I was expecting it to be. And towards the end of it, he had a little crash. Luckily it wasn't too bad, you're not too hurt, but we have made it through. We are just now having some food, and we're going to go and try and camp by a river and have some much deserved rest, because it's been a tough day. We rode into the night in search of somewhere to camp and found ourselves waking up by the river. After a windy ride through the valley, we made it to San Pedro Totolapa, which sat right at the bottom of a 3,000-foot climb. So we've just ridden into the next town, and Somi currently has 0 working knees, some pretty volatile bowels, and a very sore wrist from the crash yesterday. And we are facing an 11-mile climb, which is just going to be absolutely brutal for him. So we've decided to try and find a ride. We're just going to wait by the side of the road, and hopefully we can get picked up by a truck. We waited and waited, and just as we were beginning to lose hope, help arrived. I think we might have a ride. The police have hooked us up. Okay, well, we've just about got the bikes on the back of the truck, I am sat on a bunch of limes. Somi is sat on the edge here, but we've got a ride that's going to take us up the hill and save Somi a lot of pain.
I was genuinely about to cry after the 8th car.
Yeah,
Like
so many trucks went past us. We were about to give up and start cycling, and they turned up just in time.
I was honestly near it. Sorry.
We made it alive. Very grateful for those guys for the ride. After a short ride, we spent the night in a town called Mitla. This is one of Mexico's Pueblo Mágicos, or magical towns. It is also home to ancient Zapotec ruins, and after spending the morning exploring them, we were left with a decision to make. Our endpoint, Oaxaca City, was now just a few hours of riding away. However, up in the mountains in the opposite direction there was somewhere truly special. So we decided to take on one final climb before we finished our trip. The rain has started. Just gotta hope it doesn't get too bad. Whew. Over halfway up now. It's getting pretty wet. Hopefully we can find some shelter. Alright, well, we're about 3/4 of the way up now and it's pretty much been non-stop raining. We managed to find just a little bit of shelter, although it's not keeping us very dry. And it's starting to get pretty cold up here, isn't it? But look at these views. It's always a bit easier going up something like this when you can look out at this. That is just amazing. And we just need to basically go up to that mountain there, and that's the top. Hopefully the rain stops and the descent won't be too cold.
Are we here?
This, my friend, is the top.
Beautiful.
We made it.
Lovely stuff.
And now we get to go back down. Well, after a pretty wild and very steep winding descent, which Somi unfortunately had another fall on, we are now in Hierve el Agua, which is this just incredibly beautiful spot in the mountains with these natural mineral springs. It's really, really gorgeous, and you can see a little taste of how unbelievable this area is behind me. But it is getting dark now and we need to set up camp, so I think I'll show you it properly in the morning. After a swim in the pools, we got a tourist truck to take us back to the valley, leaving us with just a 30-mile ride into the city. Despite a broken chain, a flat tire, and a stop at the famous Tlacalula markets for some delicious barbacoa, which caused us to get stuck in torrential rain, we made it back to Oaxaca City and to the end point of our trip.
Bye, Betsy. Served me well. Rode well over 200 miles with you. All right, you were a good bike. All right, I had a few flat tires. Had a broken chain.
Couple of little crashes.
Couple of little crashes as well. Right. You served me well last. Thank you. Keep well. Gracias. Adios.